Trent Woloveck. This is a good one to listen to if you want updates on Connecticut, Massachusetts, Nevada, Minnesota, Colorado, Washington, Arizona, New York, Florida, Maryland, Oregon, D.C., Alaska, Missouri, Canada, Great Britain, Uruguay, and Jamaica. And no, I'm not kidding. We actually cover all of that. Enjoy. All right. So, Trent Woloveck, American Cannabis Company. I mean, you guys are all over the place.
Correct, but strategically all over the place.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. When I say all over the place, I certainly mean strategically. And so, well, I'll just do by my count: Connecticut, Massachusetts, Nevada, Minnesota, Colorado, Washington, Arizona, and then you're dabbling in New York, Florida, Maryland, Oregon, D.C., and Alaska.
Missouri,
and what else?
one of 15 national producers of the country of Canada.
Right.
We're looking at Hawaii, Guam,
Okay.
Jamaica, Chile, Great Britain, Uruguay. I think that covers all my basis,
Okay.
if I can remember correctly off the top of my head.
Okay. And you met Raquel
Yes.
in New York, right?
Lovely show.
Yeah.
Lovely people.
Indeed. Always. Uruguay, Great Britain, Hawaii, Guam, and I think I missed one.
Jamaica.
That's it. All right. So you guys are, like I kid when I say you're all over the place, and you don't when you say strategically. But you really have a fair amount of conversation going, basically in nearly everywhere that legal cannabis is at least a conversation.
Correct.
So where does that come from? How do you guys know what you're doing?
So our two co-founders of American Cannabis Consulting, Corey Hollister and Ellis Smith, those two had started a vertically integrated business back in 2009 in Colorado.
Okay.
They owned and operated that business until early 2013. When they sold out of that business so they could start focusing and passing along that knowledge of operating on a commercial scale in a regulated market to all of the new merit-based applications were coming online in all the new states. And so really being able to provide world-class service for ensuring that these programs were going to be successful, to then provide a baseline to ensure success of medical cannabis becoming fully legal in the U.S.
Sure. And that's what you always say, and I appreciate that. And Boulder is not an easy town.
No, it is. No, it's not.
What do I mean?
There are, at the time when they started their dispensary, there were actually 63 dispensaries. I believe now there's roughly between 15 and 20 left.
And this is just in Boulder.
In Boulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Right. Okay. That's amazing, right? Because that's yes, it's a college town, but there aren't that many people.
Very much a college town, but at the same time, very affluent town as well, with a lot of very smart and polished individuals that come from all over the world and make that their home.
So they were doing their thing, Village Green Society.
Correct.
And what made them realize that it could go from that to something else? Was it getting shut down? What?
No, they did not shut down. They were with two additional partners, and it was just the right time for them to get out. Yeah. And they saw a much larger opportunity from the consulting side, right? Which they made the right correct decision there, because when you own and operate a business, you get bogged down in ensuring the day-to-day operations are doing it correctly, because it's such a tightly regulated industry itself. Yeah. And so they really couldn't put in the time and effort to service the clients as well as run a business and operation. And so they decided to go forward with servicing clients.
And then at the same time, you're at Cardinal Health. Is that right?
Yes.
Right around 2009?
Correct. Right. I was consulting at the time, just graduating college down in Cincinnati, Ohio. Right. And was fluctuating between Bristol, Tennessee, Bloomington, Indiana, and San Francisco, California, 90% of my time. And so after about 2 years, decided to take a stab at corporate America.
And that was Cardinal Health?
Correct. Okay. So started working Cardinal Health midway through 2010, doing a lot of financial analysis around our POS system there, and tweaking it for $100 billion company, which is always a strenuous task with the wonderful red tape that is corporate America. So started there, then progressed on up to doing FP&A, financial planning and analysis, for our ambulatory care division, which is about a $3 billion business for Cardinal Health.
Unbeknownst to you, you were in the process of training yourself perfectly to be a consultant in the rapidly growing, burgeoning legal cannabis industry, because you're doing the exact same thing for the pharmaceutical industry then,
Correct. Yeah, it turned out to be a very fortuitous step in my career, where I got to work under a great manager and director, Kevin Harry, who's still with Cardinal Health today, and he was really able to show me and help me understand finance at a corporate level in a very large and commercial scale, all while still driving value of the business and of the entity, because sometimes when you're that big, you lose sight of truly margins as well as net income. Right. And that was really something that he harped on.
So take us a level deeper there, right? So what are you actually saying?
So, healthcare, there's a lot of excess spend. Right. I don't think people don't know that. Right. And so, Cardinal was facing a lot of pressure at that time. Ambulatory care was kind of our golden child. And, understanding and looking at margin erosion and driving products, right, both private label and self-manufactured versus these big name brand companies. That's really what the healthcare space needs at that time and still today. And so, through that exercise with our sales reps and our executives, I was able to really start in understanding the whole supply chain solution aspect of healthcare at that time, and right, then moving forward, decided that I needed a change.
Oh, well, let's not get there yet. All right. Because first we have to go through like Indiana and Tennessee and what. So just take us through to, where'd you go to school?
I went to Miami of Ohio.
Miami of Ohio.
Yes. And Ben Roethlisberger, Ron Harper. Oh, wow. All the greats.
Yeah.
So Wally Zerbiak.
Sure. Wally Zerbiak did know how to, put up a three.
Absolutely.
Ron Harper could run the point if you need him to.
Yes.
If you're Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Right. And the other person you mentioned was Ben Roethlisberger from your Pittsburgh.
Oh gosh, don't let me in that crew, please.
Well, what's your football team?
Cleveland Browns.
Okay, so you're from Cleveland.
From Columbus. My dad's born and raised Cleveland. We had season tickets from '99.
Got it.
So there's the connection there. So unfortunately, I get to go through the move in '96, coming back in '99.
Right. You're talking about the Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
You call it a move? Is that what you call it?
Yes.
Okay. Art Modell moved to the team?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. There were trucks and moving vans and all that fun stuff. So, they moved. Became a Buffalo Bills fan because of Don Beebe.
Oh, sure.
Until the Browns came back in '99. But I've held true to the Cavs with LeBron and everything, and then the Tribe have been just heartbreakers in the World Series and stuff like that.
Sure, and they were almost going to be very good this year.
Well, don't even get me started. That would take up the whole hour. So
yeah, and we're not here to talk about that at all.
Correct.
But you're this wholesome guy from the Midwest is really what we're establishing.
Yes.
Right? And then you get this really what was a big job for a young guy at Cardinal Health. How did that happen? What was your major at Miami?
At Miami, finance major.
Okay.
So I I was all set, ready to go into iBanking, commercial banking, PE, and I graduated in '08, so everybody knows kind of what was going on there with the Great Recession. Had just kind of kicked off, and
just in time for you.
Yeah, exactly. I watched about 50% of my class in finance at the Farmer School of Business have jobs our first semester of college, our senior year, and then all lose those jobs. About 90% of that 50% lost their jobs in a 3-month span, and so a lot of people were left looking for new jobs when they graduated.
Right.
So,
and then is that how you found Cardinal Health, or?
So, Miami does a great job of helping with student services and getting people internships and full-time positions. So I left school working for a company called Protivity, who was a spinoff of Arthur Anderson. Arthur Anderson was the great Exxon, or not Exxon, but I'm drawing a blank on the energy company now.
Enron.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah.
I've washed them from my memories, right?
Right.
But they did get me a job, so I appreciate that very much.
Well, Arthur Anderson.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well, both. But
wait. So then, what's the Enron? We have an Enron connection. What's the Enron? connection?
No. So Arthur Anderson. Was the auditor for Enron.
Yes.
When they got busted.
Yes.
Really, two groups were spun from Arthur Anderson: Accenture and Protivity. Accenture is the big
got it. Yes, of course.
Consulting mogul.
Yeah.
And Protivity kind of took like what they then created was Sarbanes-Oxley off of that. So they did all that consulting, Sarbanes-Oxley auditing work.
Right.
So I came out of school doing that.
Right. Oh, so they just did the auditing work on Sarbanes-Oxley.
On Sarbanes-Oxley for a whole bunch of different kind of companies, and I was fortunate enough to get a lot of exposure, in a whole bunch of different industries, manufacturing, technology, radio, actually, and then fortunate enough, going back to Tennessee, Bristol, Tennessee, was working with a pharmaceutical company, and they were getting ready to do an IPO at the time. So we were setting up all their internal controls. So got to do a lot of interaction down there. Go to a few Bristol Speedway races, which not really my normal stomping grounds, but fun nonetheless. And then in Bloomington, Indiana, a fresh college grad, getting to go back to college campus. Only difference this time, I had money.
Oh, wow.
So needless to say, I didn't really need it when on Tuesday nights they had 10-cent beers at Bluebird. But, it was a lot of fun, and did another pre-IPO for a publishing house. And so got a lot of great experience there.
So there's the consulting stuff.
Yes.
You have the inside the manufacturer, if you will, inside the pharmaceutical company. You have the outside. You have the consulting. So really, it was you were perfectly suited to just walk in the door of an American Cannabis Company by way of your cousin's dispensary.
Correct.
Okay. So you had said you wanted to leave Cardinal. Now,
I didn't want to leave Cardinal. I wanted to leave finance within Cardinal.
Excuse me.
And so I supported our sales, marketing, and executive team within ambulatory care on a finance perspective. And so I was able to network a lot. So one of my strengths, I feel like. And once I kind of made the decision, I was ready to get out of Ohio and get ready to move in a different path with my career. There was a huge opportunity that opened up in Denver, of all places.
Right.
And knew the regional director of sales very well, and told her I wanted to, toss my hat into the ring of interviewees.
Still with Cardinal. Right. Okay.
Managing the Colorado and Wyoming market on our physician sales. And got interviewed, got the job, moved out there, August of 2013. Sold all my belongings in Ohio, drove out in my car with my clothes and my TV. My clothes are very important to me. I would never sell those.
I see.
And moved into the basement with Brooke, who's my cousin, my sister, really a mentor to me as well. And just lived there and was slanging pharmaceutical medical supplies to my doctors. And it was actually going great. I really enjoyed the sales aspect of the job versus kind of sitting behind a computer type work.
Sure. So you're doing well. I just real quick, you said that your cousin is your sister. I just want to
pretty much like my sister. Okay. She, her and I grew up
genetically, or
no. First cousin.
Emotionally,
yes.
Okay, good. I just want to clear that up.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't want people getting confused.
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, we love everyone.
Yes,
so, but
no. So her mom and my mom are related.
There we go. Yeah. And that's the only relation.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yep. So family vacation, she would always come in, and she's about 4 years older than me, and so she was kind of the babysitter to my younger brother and I on these family vacations, ski trip, Disney World, beaches, so on and so forth.
Okay,
so.
Is that why? I mean, Denver is the skiing connection there?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up skiing. My parents ski. I don't think there's a mountain in the U.S. that I haven't plunged down yet. Still waiting to get up to Whistler, but working on that.
Right.
As well as over in Europe. I want to do the indoor skiing in Japan.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's kind of like a cool thing I would love to do, but digressing too much there. She was always there, and in 2009 when she was like, "Hey Trent, I'm gonna start consulting for the cannabis business," I was like, holy shit, that's cool as hell. And, I don't think my parents had the same type of reaction, but, so I would always go out there and visit her, a couple of days early before we went skiing and so on and so forth. So yeah, that was kind of my Denver connection.
And when you came in to do sales, you knew that she had that business operating.
Oh yeah, okay. Absolutely. So, I lived with her and, in the basement. So I got to, kind of, keep up with all the happenings and so on and so forth. And so when they were going to flip to adult use on January 1st of 2014, one of her stores was going to do that. And it was in Edgewater, which is, the pretty much right across the street on Sheridan to Denver. And the beautiful thing about Edgewater for the adult use side, we could stay open she could stay open until midnight. And so I was like, hey, do you need like a part-time manager type deal? I would love to be able to help out and just kind of, understand the industry a little bit more. And I mean, quite frank, be part of history, right?
Right, yeah.
So she was like, yeah, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night. I was like, perfect. I'll knock out all my work, Friday. And I would only have, be in at 5, close at 12, be home by 1, work Cardinal 6 to 4:30 on Monday and Tuesday. And, kind of, popped my cherry per se, in the cannabis space, first week of December. Yeah. And, opened the store January 1st and, worked pretty much, 72 hours straight. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. There was so much energy in there that I just wasn't tired.
So let's get to that 72 hours. But how long were you doing the kind of double life thing?
I was doing triple life for a little while. 4 months.
Okay. And what's the third one?
So while I was then working with Brooke and working Cardinal, I was starting the Trade Winds, which is the ancillary supply part of what is now American Cannabis Company. So
okay, so we've got to unpack this. We've got a lot to do here. So let's just go on the ground. Dispensary manager, that 72-hour period. Take us through it.
Yeah. So training, getting up, learning rules and regulations, getting the store set up to flip from medical to adult use, transferring all of the product. So in Colorado, when you switched from medical to adult use, you were able to have a one-time transfer.
One time.
And so Brooke was a smart enough, business-savvy individual to where she transferred a lot of her inventory from medical over to adult use. So we were one of the few stores, I believe, to open on the first and not run out of product at all. And so,
wow,
that was a huge piece to our success. We saw, over 600 to 800 people that first day alone, and probably kept that up for really the first 3 weeks while we were in business. And hearing people drive literally 36 hours straight to get there, and then wait in a 4-hour line was wild. We had people coming in and buying product and just saying, "Hey, I don't even smoke. Can I give you this eighth back?" To our bud tenders, and because they just wanted to have the bag, the receipt, and the container. They could have cared less what was in there, and unfortunately, our bud tenders weren't able to
accept
to take that. Yeah, they had to keep it, but hopefully they tried and enjoyed in private property, of course. But
right.
It was really cool to see, and it was just so much energy, and everybody that was there and doing it right, and for obviously the right reason. So it was very powerful to see, and something very different from the corporate lifestyle that I was used to.
That you knew well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So Julie Berliner, who we just had on, also was a consumer on that day, and did explained her consumer experience the same way. I needed to be part of history.
Exactly.
So people driving from 36 hours away, all sorts of energy. Take us a level deeper into that energy. Describe the pulp.
Yeah, it was. It was enthralling. To be part of something like that, to see how people were reacting to the part where they just had social freedom of saying, "I'm not afraid to say that. Yeah, I smoke cannabis now." Right. What was something to where, it was just a totally different experience than, interacting with somebody that was like, "Gosh, do I really have to come in at 9 o'clock and leave at 5?"
Right. Right.
Type deal. So, it puts a whole perspective on what the cannabis industry is doing for society as itself.
And you saw that firsthand with those first consumers. And what else were they saying besides I feel good about what I'm doing. I'm proud to say that I am purchasing. What else were they saying?
They were just so thankful,
right?
That we were allowing them the opportunity to buy cannabis. Relieved would probably be another thing. Grateful. A lot of people were afraid to go get their medical card just because of the fear of tracking, I guess, per se. And so in Colorado, show ID. Are you in state? Are you out of state? Are you over 21 or under 21?
Right.
Under 21, you're not getting in. In state, you could buy up to an ounce. Out of state, you're buying up to a quarter ounce. And so a lot of people were relieved from the fact that they have these conditions and now can start to understand what cannabis can do for that.
Excellent. Okay, great. So we've done a fair amount of these interviews already with Colorado people. I'm sure there's no surprise there.
Yes.
So let's take a walk across the country, shall we?
I'll fly. You can walk.
All right, fair enough. I mean, in this conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, we've established what the regulations and what the rules are in Colorado. Let's just let's go over to Washington. Right. We've got adult use. We've got medical. It is not going as seamlessly as it did in Colorado. How come?
So, two reasons, I guess, from my perspective.
Right.
And rolling out these programs, it's not easy, right? So there's no framework, there's no baseline. So what they're doing is kind of flying the plane blind, per se. So
or flying the plane while they're building it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much better analogy. So up there, what they did different than Colorado is they did a lottery for their application process. So if you met and checked, X number of boxes, you got a ping pong ball, pretty much. And from there, they picked out ping pong balls. These were people that weren't previous owners and operators within the medical community that they had established up there. So it's not easy to navigate. I think everybody knows that now.
Right. Yeah.
And so you don't have your traditional lending. You don't have traditional business models, SOPs, so on and so forth. And so 90% of those people that won licenses didn't know what it took to get something up and running. And
that's based on the fact that and again, this is all opinion, but it also it's pretty well understood that the traditional businesses that were being run in Colorado got the licenses. They knew what they were doing, whereas...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so in Colorado, you had to have a medical license in order to apply for an adult use.
Right.
Right? It was very easy because of that one-time transfer to have product on the shelf that you knew was good product, or you knew what the product was.
Right.
So that was the second really piece and difference in Washington was it's not vertically integrated. Right. So you could either be a producer processor or a dispenser. And so there was a huge disconnect. They awarded the dispensary and the cultivation licenses at the same time.
Right.
People were stoked. They got their dispensary. I'm building out. I'm ready to open my doors. It takes 1 to 2 months to open up a retail shop.
Yeah, at least.
When you cultivate a plant, you don't rush a plant, or you can't rush a plant.
Right.
And if somebody does know how to rush a plant from, clone to veg to flower to cure to processing, then please let me know. It's just not possible. You need 7 to 10 days in cloning. You need 30 to 60 days in vegging, and you need 8 to 10 weeks for flowering.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
That's natural progression. So it takes a little bit more time. Building out cultivation facilities are a little bit more capital intensive versus building out a retail store. And so a lot of these stores were open, but there was no product to be sold on the shelves. And so I remember hearing back in, August of last year.
Which is a month after, doors open.
Correct.
Yeah.
A pound was selling for anywhere between $96,000 to $12,000 a pound, and from the cultivation, the production facility.
Right.
And at that price, the end consumer is going to be paying, $40 a gram. And if you're left between paying $40 a gram or probably $40 an eighth, I think a lot of the consumers are going to be choosing to get more product for the same price.
Yeah, and there's been price testing done where consumers are proving that they are willing to spend more for legal cannabis.
Correct.
But that's out of hand.
Correct.
So in terms of the 9 subsequent months, what's happening now? When you say they are still building that plane, what's happening now?
So they've done a lot of cleanup regulations, as is Colorado. Legislators and regulators are learning on a daily basis.
Right.
And so cleanup legislation to understand what's working, what's not working, is being implemented what feels like on a monthly basis. And so there's been more product getting to market up in the state of Washington.
Right.
And so you're seeing it kind of balance back out from a supply and demand curve aspect. And so it's becoming much more of a savvy market up there. People that were that had obtained licenses that maybe didn't realize what they were getting into have now kind of sold on or looking to make strategic partners with people that are in the medical community. It sounds like they may be merging the two the two programs together.
Right.
That's not finalized, so still a little TBD to be determined there. So a lot's going on, but keep in mind that's less than a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Rolling out a full-blown medical program when you're looking at, pharmaceutical or really any business, 3 to 5 years,
Right.
that's your layout, right? In cannabis, it seems like it's 3 to 5 months.
Yeah, sure, exactly. And that's not to say, just want to make sure, folks like John Davis, there are plenty of people in Washington that know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there was just the added kind of intrigue, if you will, of the
Correct.
lottery that made things interesting.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's go down the block to Oregon. What's happening there?
So Oregon passed a ballot initiative last November in order to have adult use. Very similar, obviously, to Colorado and Washington. And so rules and regulations are getting put into place and hopefully looking to kick off somewhere between now and 2016 from a program perspective. And then I think, like Alaska, they're looking to start having applications go in, knock on wood, beginning of 2016. So,
Okay.
Programs in both of those states that passed ballot initiatives are, moving and really looking at and trying to understand what the framework's going to look like there for both those states, actually.
Right. So they are still working out the regulations as we speak.
Correct. Yes.
And what am I supposed to be doing if I am a business owner that wants to get in on Oregon or Alaska?
Start doing your homework. What I find a lot of people coming up to me is, I'm drinking from a fire hose. Like,
Sure.
Help me out. And I say, you got to do your due diligence to get into this industry. And yeah, you are going to drink from a fire hose.
Right.
And so
Get
start the
used
process.
to that feeling.
Yeah. So start the process. Start looking at and really understanding what you want to do for your business, because I think the biggest challenge in the space is you say, okay, I want to get into the cannabis space. You get into the cannabis space, it's still in such its infancy stages that you can get sidetracked by a lot of different projects. And so know what you want your business to look like, develop a business plan, look at a pro forma, understand what the total market opportunity is, look and understand what your opportunity to capture part of that market is, and really start developing and laying out what you want your business to look like in order for, once the rules and regulations come out and are final, you have that strong baseline to stand on, and then can kind of adjust and go from there as we start to understand what the rules and regulations will look like for that state.
And so that's great advice for anybody starting any business.
Yes, not just the cannabis business.
And so in terms of regulations, what do you hear Oregon and Alaska are learning from both Colorado and Washington?
Yeah, I think Oregon has a pretty mature medical market in place, and so hopefully they can understand how important vertical integration is, or being able to leverage that existing market. Same with Alaska, and how important that aspect is in order to have success, or learn from Washington. Right, award the cultivation licenses first, and then 6 months later say, all right, go with retail. So it really just depends on if you want the lottery or if you want the merit-based application. So,
but if you want the lottery, just add that one step.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So talk about Connecticut. Now let's go all the way across.
So Connecticut is an extremely medical-focused program there. 4 licenses were awarded for cultivation. 4 licenses were awarded for retail. And so it was cool. What they did was they required a pharmacist to be on staff at the dispensary. So really keeping it at that medical centric focus for that market. It's been kind of cool to see other Eastern states kind of adopt and look at that as well as Minnesota,
right?
New York and so on and so forth. The cool story about Massachusetts, our client there, who was awarded originally one of the 22 licenses in the first round, she is the first MD to obtain a medical cannabis license and be the majority stakeholder.
Oh wow!
So that was a really cool kind of progression. And since then, we've seen an MD obtain a license, a client of ours obtain a license in Nevada, as well as Minnesota.
All right, so you brought up Minnesota twice. We talked about Connecticut, Massachusetts. There were 22 licenses. What else do I need to know about Massachusetts before we go to Minnesota?
It's been a slow process, but we're getting the build out and license up and running. Testing's very stringent there. They're working through bringing the first product to market, and so that's been kind of key to Massachusetts. We're finally getting the program off the ground there, so that's great to see.
And what are dates associated with Connecticut and Massachusetts?
So Connecticut's rolling. Massachusetts for our client specifically towards the back half of this year.
Okay, and Minnesota first.
So Minnesota, awesome process. They did a great job awarding the licenses, 2 licenses for the entire state. And what they did there was you had to do the application very merit-based. Then they selected it down to 8 to 10 groups that came in and actually interviewed, surprisingly, hey, let's meet these people in person, not just what they look like on paper.
Right.
Same as a job process interview. And then they whittled it down to about 4 and came out and actually saw some operations where, their expertise, hired expertise, were able to kind of showcase what they did, and then they selected 2. And so that was a great process. Right. Very quick. I think it was about a 12-month span between when we engaged with our client through when we had plants in the ground. So July of 14 to December of 13 to December of 14, we submitted the application and found out on December 1st that we won a license. Our client there actually built out their facility before he had the license.
Right.
So we were able to put plants in the ground shortly after obtaining our license.
And we just spoke to Charlie Rutherford from Bovida, who does business in the space, also is a patient in Minnesota.
Yes.
And he's excited.
Yeah, absolutely. He, he's a tough cookie, and it hats off to him for exploring cannabis and still driving the golf ball super far, which is impressive. So, absolutely. People in all of these states are excited to be able to come above ground and start, looking at the plant as a substitute for a lot of different things.
Yeah. So you say coming above ground. You mentioned Nevada. I think that they want to kind of jump and shout from the mountaintops. They want to be the beacon of light that is legal cannabis. Kind of tell us what has happened and what's going on now.
Sure. So we obtained 6 total licenses there, 2 cultivation, 2 processing.
Out of how many? Sorry.
I believe there was over 120 awarded on the cultivation and refining process. And then we obtained the only dispensing license in Nye County, which is just north of Clark County or Las Vegas. And then we were one of 10 groups to obtain both local and state support for Clark County for dispensary there. And so in the build-out process right now, knock on wood, opening the store up in Nye County here within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then target date for the back half of 2015 for the store and cultivation facility there.
So they awarded many more licenses than many other states.
Right. They kind of quote unquote rubber stamped a lot of the cultivation and processing facilities, but we're much more stringent on the dispensing aspect.
Fair enough, because it's only medical now.
Correct.
Okay.
But we sat in some city council meetings where they made it a point to say it's coming from the adult use perspective. And the cool thing that they did about in Nevada was they are doing reciprocity there. So if you have a red card or a qualifying condition from another state, when you come and visit Nevada, you are able to obtain medicine there. So
there you go.
That's a huge step and really one of the first markets to do that.
Totally. And it makes all the sense in the world.
You'd think.
Well, from Nevada's perspective.
Oh, absolutely. I think.
And from the patient's perspective.
Absolutely. I think any way you can drive tax revenue and provide patient, advocacy as well, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. If we're doing both of those things, what aren't we doing?
Ignoring a very straightforward fact, in my opinion.
All right. So we've got, we're a good way through here. Arizona.
So Arizona, very restrictive program. Not a lot of dispensaries, even less cultivation. They're looking at doing kind of a second round of licensing, and so that's an exciting piece. Their neighbor New Mexico just expanded their plant count from 150 to 450. So you're seeing a lot of these states loosening rules and regulations. So that's coming down the pipe, as we speak.
You mentioned New York, so it's got a strict medical program, right?
Correct.
Tell us more.
So in New York, 5 licenses for 20 million people. Each license will have 1 cultivation and 1 refining location, as well as 4 dispensaries. And so everything must be processed down to oil, tinctures, ingestibles, no flour, no edibles. And so, really a science-based application to be able to do and use derivatives to cure patients in that state.
So that's New York. They have a tight fist on what's going on there.
Yes.
I want to do Maryland, then I want to do D.C., then I want to come back to Florida.
Okay.
So Maryland,
long process. They had a switch in the governor, and so the prior governor was pretty gung-ho about getting the program out. Obviously, the new governor has been a little bit tighter with the reins per se, and so rules, regulations have been out and changed about 3 times now, and hopefully, coming over the next couple months, they can get something finalized and look for an application on the back half of the year.
Okay. Florida. So go backwards before you go forwards with Florida, because we had a little bit of a stumble.
Sure. So let's see here. Where to start with Florida? So the Compassionate Care Act was passed through legislation. The Compassionate Care Act is a low THC, high CBD program to look at and treat pretty much cancer and epilepsy. And that program was passed through legislation and signed into law prior to their November ballot initiative, which was the full medical program. That unfortunately failed, but not by majority. They had 58 and change approval. They needed 60, and so that did not pass. And we are now back to square one with what the Compassionate Care Act looks like. 5 licenses with dispensaries located in 5 regions that they broke the state up into.
And what's your sense on timeline? And
so timeline is still a little bit up in the air from getting those licenses awarded. I do know, and knock on wood, that Florida House and Senate will come back for a special session June 1st, and we'll see if medical cannabis makes it on their makes it on their list.
DC, we didn't talk about DC with Alaska and Oregon. We probably should have.
Yeah, it's been an interesting market. They do have medical in place there, and it's been challenged and tossed back and forth on if they could or could not do adult use. And so it's looking like they are going to be able to do adult use. And so haven't really heard much around applications or what the rules and regulations are going to look like out in our nation's capital.
Okay, so we'll wait on that.
Yes.
All right. So Canada.
Yes.
So talk about that.
So Canada, federally legal program, ran by the Department of Health up there.
Affectionately known as Health Canada.
Health Canada, exactly. And so they've awarded licenses to 15 producers. Most recent number, I believe, that changes and kind of in flux on what I feel like a daily basis. But
14, 16, 22.
Yeah, I kind of take the middle sometimes.
Right.
But we are working with Organigram up there, which is an LP. A licensed producer up there, and up there it's flower only, no extraction, no oils, no infused products at this time.
Right.
And so what's different there as well, there's no storefronts. So patients are required to go online, place an order, and then have their medicine shipped to them via the Canadian mail system.
Yes. Fantastic.
Yes. What they're kind of having issues with up in Canada is bringing product to market. They have a very strict testing requirement up there. No pesticides, and so a lot of the product's not able to actually make it to market, unfortunately. And so it's just they don't feel at this time, in my perspective, that it's really necessary to award any more licenses. Yes.
Oh, okay. So then that brings us to Uruguay, which or Uruguay.
Yes. We learned that. We learned that a couple months back.
Indeed.
Yes.
Which is also a nationwide initiative. What makes it different than Canada?
Right. No import export. Right. So Canada, you can do both.
Right.
Chile, they're going to allow exporting, but no importing.
Right.
So same as Uruguay there. Yes.
And then what about Great Britain? What about Jamaica?
So Jamaica export, I believe. I'm not sure if that's been finalized. Great Britain, they're much more medical focused on the research aspect, which is very cool. GW Pharmaceutical, I think, is probably the most well-known player in the space, whether it's in the U.S. or worldwide. Yeah. They're out of Great Britain. And so that's kind of where Great Britain's at.
Let's get to surprises or lessons learned in cannabis, because that's where we are in the conversation. You've done a fair amount. You were perfectly set up to be in this industry, as luck would have it. What have you learned over the past few years?
Are you saying I'm lucky, Seth?
Absolutely.
No, I can't argue with that. It's better to be lucky sometimes than skilled, for sure. But right. But lessons learned, as I touched on a little bit earlier, know what you want and drive towards that, because you can get very easily sidetracked. Don't lose focus of why everybody's here, and really all the good people that are within this industry. Making a quick buck is not something that should be first and foremost, and really what's core to ACC and myself. But
and I think I just want to make sure that you say what you mean. You said making a quick buck. It shouldn't be making a quick buck. You're fine with making a buck.
Yes,
exactly.
I'm fine with making a buck, absolutely, but
right. Not making a quick buck.
But yes, keeping in mind the bigger picture for what this industry and what your business can be, and as far as the the larger kind of corporate America coming into the space, it would be naive to realize that this isn't a $60 billion to $100 billion current market.
Yeah.
2.7 of that is being serviced. 2.7 billion is being serviced by licensees in these states, and so it is a big industry.
Right.
Let's be quite frank about that, and so it needs to be treated like that.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind that there still is a space for the small mom and pops, and really look no further than the alcohol industry. What is huge right now? Microbrews, small batch liquor.
Yep.
And so there's a place for everybody to play in the sandbox, and it's not one person trying to do it one way and the other person trying to do it a completely different way is wrong. And so, really trying to be able to continue to build on the momentum that, everybody's worked so hard to achieve, and having that unified front and continuing to build on all the successes. We're only going to, continue to move this to, looking at, the federal aspect and really shaping what can be a powerful industry from, not just, a dollar perspective, but from a change in a society perspective as well.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the bigger and last question, which is what has most surprised you in life?
Oh, man. What's most surprised me? My path to get here.
Yeah.
I come from a very traditional, family upbringing. And if you would have told me 12 months ago that I would be talking to the people that I'm talking to and having conversations with, I would have had to call BS. Okay. But it's always keeping an open mind and being able to build and learn on your experiences. And so really just continuing to focus and operate in what can be something that changes the way people look and understand not just cannabis, but the perception of what they are and why they're here.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big enough point to end on.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty powerful statement, but looking back and not to get on the soapbox too much, but I come from corporate upbringing to flipping to this. It's been an eye opener to meet and greet not only the people that have been pushing for this for an extremely long time, which I hats off to them, and then all the new business acumen and very strong individuals, men and women that are starting to look at the space, as well as the people with the medical acumen. It's all three of them converging and trying to do something that's been told to me has been wrong for my lifestyle or for my lifetime, and bringing it to fruition. It's a powerful thing.
It is. It's unbelievable, and you're not doing so bad yourself.
No, I'm having fun.
That's
first and foremost, and no, it doesn't hurt to progress a business like we've been doing at American Cannabis Company.
There you go. Thanks so much for your time, Trent.
I appreciate it, Seth. Thanks for having me.
All right. I'll see you right after we put down the microphones.
I love it.
All right.
I appreciate Trent Woloveck. There, I said it. He also has been around. He is getting around and certainly understands the landscape, so to speak. I love the concept of doing right for the right reasons. Ton of information from him, and we'll certainly check back in to see where everything's going. So thanks so much to Trent.